amigos, this is Shavona Kamakar. Welcome to my channel Shavona, and this video is for anyone and everyone who wants to have a dip into this very pool, ocean, pond, even a well of the world called book reading. Reading books or getting into the habit of book reading shouldn't be complicated. There should be some tips and tricks to go about it, and this video is for anyone and everyone who's a newbie. Hang on. If you're someone who is an expert, still hang on because I'm going to review a few books which I don't know if you have gone through it. If you're somebody who's outside India, pretty sure you're not gone through it. But coming back to the topic of book reading is a very underrated activity for a long time in my life, and I think a lot of people can kind of connect themselves to me because back in my childhood, my parents used to say, "Beta, ये किताब पढ़ लो, बेटा वो किताब पढ़ लो, बेटा ये पढ़ लो, वो पढ़ लो." लेकिन क्या हुआ? Down the line, I always used to spend hours and hours behind those mindless articles in internet, which I eventually realized those are all fake. The information is not correct. Book reading is one of the best ways to exercise your brain cells. Well, it helps you to enhance your concentration skills, focus skills, increases your vocabulary dictionary list in your brain and hippocampus, if I'm not wrong. And it even helps you to enhance your communication skills. If you're a freelancer like me and a photographer, and if you think that my work is going to speak for itself, that's a modest way to go about it. But let me be honest, everybody is good and at par with each other. Everybody is really fantastic in their work. So, what is that USP which really puts you apart from the others is the way how you communicate your story to others, how you tell and narrate your story with others. And book reading has helped me a lot when it comes to those aspects. I trust me, my English was pathetic, and I still think my English is really not good. I have an issue when it comes to language. Yes, मेरी हिंदी बहुत अच्छी है, मैं भोजपुरी भी अच्छा बोल लेती हूँ, जहाँ तक हो सके बंगाली भी अच्छा बोल लेती हूँ. हाँ, मल्टीलिंगुअल हूँ, लेकिन बात ये है कि बचपन से इतने सारे लैंग्वेजेस बोल बोल के आदत हो गई. लेकिन कमिंग बैक टू द वीडियो, लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड. As I mentioned, getting into the world of book reading shouldn't get complicated, and there are three basic steps to go about it. Personally, trial and tested, and it works for a person like me who was never into book reading and is into book reading. So if you're someone who kind of relates yourself with me, these steps are going to definitely work for you. The very first thing is don't end up spending a lot of money. What I mean to say is don't go grab an expensive book just because the cover is inviting and exciting and the illustration is, oh my god. And the second factor is don't end up grabbing a lot of book from the bookstore. Well, the good way to go about it is to go grab a second-hand book. There are a lot of online platforms where they kind of sell the old books. I really like this principle because it follows the 3R: recycle, reuse, and reduce. Well, and the other way is to go to a library. You can go there, grab a cup of coffee or whatever, sit there for an hour. A lot of cafes has this open library system. And the third way is go grab a friend who is an avid book reader and just kind of beg him or her, like, please give me your book for a few days. And please, for God's sake, return the book on time. Like, book is a very personal affair for a lot of people, including myself. Yes, don't end up spending a lot of money. There are a lot of ways to understand what kind of author works for you, what kind of language works for you, what kind of genre works for you. And then eventually you can find and take step and take your final decision what kind of books I would like to keep it in my bookshelf and what kind of books I would just keep it there for my occasional visits. The very second thing a newbie in the world of book reading should consider is hashtag go vocal for local. What I mean to say is go grab a book written by a writer and author who belongs to your country, community, language, myth, beliefs, anyone who writes certain aspects with whom you can connect yourself with. I mean to say, when you find yourself into the story, you kind of read a little more than when you find yourself in a world which you are not aware of, which you are not very comfortable with. So in the initial stages, when you are in the habit of book reading, when you're in the habit of hanging on, like increasing a concentration level, this is one of the best ways to go about it. I learned it a little hard because initially I literally grabbed a book based on neurology. I'm not joking. I just went and grabbed Oliver Sacks and I was like, bonkers, what the hell this guy is talking about. Well, being a photographer, I have nothing to do with neurology, I have nothing to do with biology, though my high school studies was biology. In the initial stage, be in the comfortable zone. Get into the habit of reading as much as possible. Try to make a lifestyle. Try to see how you can fit into it into your daily schedule, and then jump into something really on the high end. What's it? The very third thing, and it's a personal request, a very trial and tested way, and a reason and a method is in the initial days, a lot of people have a habit to finish the book in one go. My personal request, make small goals. Like maybe make a goal of reading 25 pages in one go or reading 1 hour a day, and then eventually you can add on your aim step by step. Speed reading and other ways of reading is secondary. The primary aim right now is to grasp as much as possible, is to exercise your focus skills. How much can you focus, for how long you can focus? Tentatively, I read somewhere that we have a relative time span or 20 minutes to focus on certain things, and after that the brain kind of start distracting, and you have to challenge yourself to go a little beyond that. But slowly, steadily, consistency is the key. Yippee! Okay, the very first book which I'm going to talk about is The Story of a Long Distance Marriage by Siddesh Iramdar. I was at Kolkata airport, this cover grabbed my attention, this word grabbed my attention, and it's not expensive, it's 200 bucks. You can get cheaper than that on a second-hand bookstore or whatever it is. But coming back to the story, this book surrounds or in and around a very young couple, newly married, uh, where the wife takes a call to go abroad for further studies, where the husband is totally supportive of it, but at the same time he is, my wife will forget me. My wife will not love me anymore. Well, he's insecure, and it's funny. This one more aspect which I connect myself with him is he's based out of India. He lives on a rent, so I kind of understand the tenant and the landlord conspiracy which happens from time to time. Well, the ending is sweet. Spoiler alert. But the ending was really unexpected. The vocabulary is easy to understand. The language is really, really interesting. I broke my very third rule, which is not to finish the book in one go. But this book was so interesting that I finished almost a large part of it from Kolkata to Mumbai on the flight, in the flight, and the rest as soon as I came back to my flat. Well, this book was that interesting, dude. I can't blame myself. The very second book which I will personally suggest is Girls of Mumbaistan by Piyush Shah. This author has written a lot more books, but it's really engaging. This book is a compilation of three highly gripping stories about three girls where a wife gets duped, a maid gets duped, a transgender gets duped. Now, if you're someone who is based out of Bombay, who is in Bombay, who's from Bombay, who's pretty aware of Bombay, this book is going to steal your heart, or is really going to steal attention, because it's based out of Bombay. And it's based out of those really nitty gritties which people who have lived there for a long time will understand. The language is really easy, the language is gripping. As I said, the story is really interesting. The ending has always been unexpected. I don't think so any of the three stories has disappointed me, but the one which I remember far more is the very first story where the wife gets duped. If you're someone who's a newbie, this is one of my suggestions, and go grab it. The very third book and the final book which I'm going to suggest you in this very video is Prisoner of Yakutsk by Shreyas Bhave. If you're someone who is a patriotic, who loves to read about national heroes, revolutionary heroes, and who's a Bengali, you will connect yourself with this book. Now, spoiler alert, this book doesn't is not a documentary, it doesn't talk real, expect what happened to him. Shreyas Bhave has taken a different way of solving this problem. So this story is around a character, a protagonist who is distantly related to Netaji, and there are far more characters than him. So this book kind of gets confused. It's a very linear book, so I will firstly suggest to go from first chapter to the last chapter. This book kind of goes front and back and front and back. If you are asking this question, is he still alive? No, he's not. He's not alive. Netaji is not alive. But I love the way this entire story is being taken care of, and there are two endings to it. One ending was more like pretty obvious. I was like, yeah, okay, it's going to happen the way the entire scene is going on. And the very second ending was really surprising. So it so happened that the guy who's the main protagonist, connected to Netaji in distant way, goes on in the hunt of his own parents because he's adopted by somebody else, and he gets to know the story. He gets very curious what happens to his parents, and somehow the Russians gets to know that he is on the way to dig out some informations and some really controversial aspect. And this entire to and fro happens between the Russians and him, and at the back end, what was happening between his parents back in just the post-independence era of India and the Indian officials, the high officials from Prime Minister to the father of India, Mahatma Gandhi. and what was happening when it comes to they went to Japan, they went to Russia, and it's a very exciting action uh, oriented story. This book can get consuming. I found it a little consuming in a sense. If I'm trying to read it in one go, I'm literally forgetting what's happening in the past because, as I said, it kind of jumps. So I will highly suggest go step by step, finish one chapter at a time because it's a linear book. You can't open any of the chapters in the middle of the book and read it. This book is very well written. I enjoyed it. Why I'm suggesting it at the third stage because that's where the third rule comes. It go step by step. Okay, this book is this lengthy. This book is worth to keep. I'm going to keep it. I really enjoyed this book. I love the cover, like red, blood, revolution, action, and our own Netaji. Well, these were the three steps to go about if you're a newbie in the world of book reading. These were the three personal books I can suggest to you if you want to get started with it. You can be anyone sitting anywhere in the world, and the three basic rules applies to anyone and everyone. Connect to someone who's local. Don't end up buying really expensive books. And third, go step by step. Hi, my name is Shimona Kamakar, a freelance photographer and a product stylist presently based out of Mumbai, India. So if you're someone who can relate yourself with me in this very video, please like and share. And if you are someone who would like to see more of my videos, प्लीज कंसिडर टू सब्सक्राइब माई चैनल. घंटी बजाना नहीं बजाना आपकी मर्जी है, लेकिन मैं कोशिश करूंगी कि आप मेरे मंदिर का घंटी बजा दे टन टनाटन. बट thank you so much for hanging on to me. Thank you so much for listening to this very long video. I hope I entertained you well. I hope you are going to consider to get into the world of किताबी कीड़ा बन जाते हैं थोड़े दिन के लिए. क्या बताओ आप बताइए. किताब पढ़ना अच्छी बात है, बस आंखों का थोड़ा ख्याल रखिएगा. Well, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much and adios, 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 adios.